So you want to work some DX. I don't know if we have a medication by that name. Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Casler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. And yes, it's about DX. Okay, this is a question from Peter Dabos. November 1, Charlie Echo Oscar. Says, hello Dave, thanks for all the wonderful videos. I recently upgraded from the ICOM 7300 to the ICOM 7610. Oh, the 7610 is a sweet radio. I had the opportunity to use one for about 6 months. It was real hard to give back because it had been loaned to me. N6GR. He let me use it for a while because he was working with flex equipment and stuff like that. And so I had to get the 7300 so that we could set up the reference station for that. Oh, that 7610 is a sweet radio, and they've just introduced a new one in the 7700 series, which has got even more bells and whistles. The 7610 has 2 receivers in it, which I never use, but it's just more of a radio. It's a contester's radio with what it can do. Just fantastic radio. If you've got $3,000, okay? Not a beginner's radio. He says, I'm having trouble working Pileups. I just finished participating in the CQ Worldwide sideband contest where I made about 25 contacts. There were many situations in which I simply could not get a response from the DX station, even after trying at least 10 or more times. I'm wondering if you have already made videos on how to work Pileups and how to work in split mode. If not, could you please consider it? Thanks in 73 from Peter Doubles. Okay, let's talk about Pileups. There was one time in my life, well, a couple times, where I was the subject of a Pileup. The Pileup was on me. Okay, the first time I was still in the Air Force and still in training, in fact. This was in 1976 or 77. There was a scout jamboree taking place, and we had a special event station in Mississippi, and it was, I think, W5BSA was the special call sign. And back then, the thing that people wanted to do was hunt the special suffixes that were reserved back at the time. You don't see that much nowadays. Anyway, everybody in the country wanted to work me. As soon as I finished saying QRZ or CQ or whatever, the pileup was such that all that I heard was noise. Okay, so what I started doing was I said, okay, all the zeros come now. And then I could pick out a call or two. Okay, all the ones, all the 2s, 3s, 4s, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I'd start over. And that way I was able to tease out. Now, another thing I could have done was to work split. I would say, okay, I'm on this frequency. Now I'm going to talk to somebody who's 5 kilohertz above my frequency up to about 15. So you guys spread out there and I'll pick off stations as I can. That's called working split. Let's talk about the pileup first. And remember that to the DX station, especially the rare DX that are working in these contests, the CQ Worldwide DX contest is one of the greatest opportunities to work exotic DX. Okay? So they're definitely worth your time. Now, listen to the pileup because you'll hear it. Oh boy, you'll hear it just like that. And then see who the DX station comes back to. Often they'll do something like said, ends in Zulu, and then 2 or 3 stations that have to end with a Z. We'll call it the same time. It's much easier for him to pick one of those out. Now, normally, the stations that get through are on the leading edge of the pileup or on the trailing edge of the pileup. So I will often wait for the pileup to die down a little bit and then throw my call in there, KE0OG. And that's what you do. You say your call once. And you do it phonetically, Kilo Echo 0 Oscar Golf. Now, a lot of DXers don't use the Civil Aviation Organization's code. So I might say something like King Edward 0, Ocean, Germany. Now, some people don't pronounce G's starting with a J sound. They do it with an H sound. I have actually heard harmony used on the air, and everybody understands that's a G. Okay, so the DX can be a little bit different. Find out what phonetics. Don't use made-up phonetics. I could use King Edward Zero Old Grouch, okay, and that's going to go right over the head. This guy's working them as fast as he can get them into the log, 2 or 3 contacts a minute, okay, and your contact is going to be very short. It'll be from him, KE0OG from ZS3, 4, 5, whatever it may be, okay. Your 5.9, it's always 5.9, your 5.9 Zanzibar or whatever. And you will go back and say QSL 73, and then you get out of there because the next guy's coming in on top of you. Don't think you can start a conversation there. Not going to happen, okay? And it gets everybody else mad at you. At the beginning or the end of the QSO, if you find, as you listen to the Pileup and try and pick up calls, okay, you'll see what the DX station is going for. And he might not even be going for North American contacts at all. He might say Japan only or JA only and so on. So you got to be careful to listen to what is going on. Is he using the first one or the last one? I find that when I'm at the bottom of a Pileup, I go for the last one because the Pileup has died down and I can usually catch the suffix. Now, it is considered bad behavior to only send your suffix. My suffix is OG right there, OG. The thing that makes it quickest, because otherwise he has to go station ending in OG, Kilo Echo Zero Oscar Golf, and then there might be somebody else who jumps in there. You want to go with your entire call sign is considered appropriate, according to the DX Code of Contact, and there is one. If he picks a call sign in the middle, it could be possible that he's responding to a very loud station. This guy's got 1500 watt amplifier, okay, the best in compression technology that you can get, a 100-foot tower with a 10-element beam pointed right at the guy. He'll cut through anything. That's a Pileup cutter, but he's sitting on tops of tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even up to $100,000 worth of equipment. And yeah, he's going to cut through pretty easily. But there aren't that many of those stations. Most of the stations calling him are just like you. They're a 100-watt station. He'll pick one. I say he because most overseas hams are he. Occasionally you see a female. By the way, if you're a female and you're at the bottom of a Pileup, everybody wants to talk to you. So, and this also happens if you're trying to break a Pileup. If you are a young lady, female ham radio operator, your voice will cut through and they very often will come back to you. Now, so you can go at the beginning or the end. You can try, if you're getting frustrated, your call twice, always phonetic. Now, if the DX station is using things like Ocean, Germany, stuff like that, you do too. Otherwise, you use the standard civil aviation phonetic alphabet. Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and so on. Use that alphabet. Don't say KE0OG. That's not going to help. Kilo Echo Zero Oscar Golf, because then you can pick out. Oscar and Germany, for some reason, are two hard letters to get through. That's why I will go with Ocean, Germany when working DX. Ocean, Germany, because they pick up on that right away. The ICAO alphabet is standardized in the US, but not necessarily other places. Okay. Now, what do you do about working split? There are 2 ways you can work split. We'll turn on the radio here, and we're listening to 28. Let's go down to a band that might be more active. Now, you see quite a few stations on there. Most of the stations are going to be right on a kilohertz. You can see where the stations are from the waterfall. You can go find them. These down here are CW. This big one right here is FT8. Okay, and we've got quite a few up and down here. Okay. Now, one way to work split, you leave this on receive, press the Delta transmit button, okay, And this, you're going to change your transmit frequency. So let's say I were to push the mic button. Normally they want you to be like 5 kilohertz up. So we're putting this at 5 kilohertz up, okay? So it's listening on 14,200, but when you transmit, it's 14,205. This is one way of working split. If it's not much of a split, you can turn that off and you can go split. Now, you've got 2 VFOs. This is your transmit frequency, okay? And you go AB to change them. So this is the receive frequency, and this down here is the transmit frequency. Now, how do I change the transmit frequency? That just changes the receive frequency. So I do AB where I swap the two. Then I can put this in, and then I swap back, okay? Now, notice this. Here's the DX on 14,214, and this is 14,225 over here. I press the pedal, and now you see I'm transmitting. So I got my transmit indicator. I'm transmitting on 14,225, and then I go back to receiving on 14,214. So this is 14,225. That is 11 kilohertz above the signal. Now, if the DX says up 5, you're going to want to go somewhere between 5 and 10, okay? And then you listen. If you can listen, you can listen to the split up here and see where the other guy is coming in, the one that the guy worked. And then you might tune just a little bit above that when you call the other person, okay? Because the DX operators will often work a guy on one frequency and then move his receive frequency up a little bit like that, okay? And then his transmit frequency will stay the same. So you can do all kinds of things like this to work split. Remember that whatever you are doing to work split is the inverse of what the DX is doing. The DX will stay on one transmit frequency. That's your receive frequency. He will listen up 5, 6, or something like up 5 to 10 kilohertz. That spreads out the pileup, and then he'll tune through there until he finds one he likes. And he'll talk to them. And if you're watching carefully, you can see which one he talks to. Now, you want to then call him back either on that frequency or slightly above, okay? Because he's probably tuning up a little bit. For some reason, they tune up rather than down, but they could be going down. But anyway, that's how you work a split. All modern radios, even my humble 7300, allows you to work split. Now, back in ancient times when I was in the Air Force, and no, I didn't quite meet the Wright brothers. I missed them at the luncheon. When I was in the Air Force, I had a Yaesu FT201, which did not have split capability on it. It did actually kindly in that it did have a clarifier that would go up and down 5 kilohertz. I communicated with Yaesu, and they made for me a secondary VFO that I could plug into the back of mine so I could tune split on this other dial. That was really cool. I think I had to pay, it was kind of expensive, about $80. But then again, that was in 1976, okay? And I don't know whatever happened to it. I sold it somewhere. Probably sold it when I sold the 201 to raise money for this brand new thing called a modem. I got a Hayes smart modem. It was like $300. Nowadays, we don't even use them. If you do, they're $5 a piece. Whatever. The times have certainly changed. That's for Peter Davos, N1 CEO, on how to work split. If you've got any questions further on working split, note that the DX guy will say he is working split. Now, back when they had, 2 or 3 years ago, when they had the Contact W1AW and they were going to go to all 50 states, okay, I was doing one of those on CW, and the guy kept saying up 1. I'm going, why? You're getting no replies. So I dutifully went up 1, worked him, went on my way. But I used the Delta transmitter rather than trying to go full split. Okay? So get used to doing it, work it through, try it with a friend, see what you're doing so you get really good at it. And then when you do your next DX contest, you can find the people that you want to work and you can put your signal right in there where he will hear it. So I want to tell you a little bit about a special we've got going. $2. Join Patreon. Get a $2 bill. Now, when you do Patreon or PayPal or become a channel member, stuff your call sign in there somewhere. If your last name is Smith, do Smith K1ABC. Okay, so we will see that call sign because we can then look that up in QRZ and send you your fresh $2 bill. Not $3 bills, those are bogus. $2 bills are real currency. So there you have it. Until we next meet, 73.